Alrighty.
Just tell me when. Oh, there we are.
Just doing a quick
When
sound
is
test
now?
here. Check. Cool.
All right, I got it at 100% volume. Say something real quick.
Test. Check. Testing 1 2.
The levels sound good to me. What do you think, QOC? Like, if you have any feedback about like the audio levels and
It's
okay,
louder. Okay.
Does
Is
that
mean Vince
weird
should go
that I'm
down
louder?
or Tony should go up? Okay.
Okay, cool.
How is this? Check. Test.
I think you're sounding better, but let me just double check.
Perfect.
Okay,
Cool.
she says it's perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're about the same.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. So QOC, I leave the stream running on one of my monitors, and I have like 20%, anywhere between 10 and 20% volume. So I'm hearing my own voice like echo back. It just really helps me know if there's a problem with the stream or anything like that. So I don't know. That's not necessarily relevant information. I'm just sharing it. Let's see. Can I blast this out to anybody and tell them to come show up? Let's go to the number kids. All right, blasted that one out. Okay, cool. So let's see here. Do we have a maps folder in Sacred Geography?
No.
Okay. And we only have the one map?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's called
Okay, cool.
Geo, maybe.
Yeah, and it's just in the content folder.
Yeah, and it's the one that you start in when you open the project.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that guy out. If you want to like transition screens and like put up what I got going on, you can.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. All right, sweet. So yeah, I'm not doing anything super crazy right now. We've got this project that we're working on where we are building GeoGuessr for virtual reality headsets. We've got a lot of the technical implementation is like done for the prototype. So what I need to do is help Tony build the gameplay framework around this so that we've got a game. Best way I can explain that is like in GeoGuessr, how you have a score based on your time and how close you were to the destination based off of the hint using the Google Earth Street View or whatever. We don't have that implemented yet. So we got to figure out what that scoring means and how that's presented to players, how players interact with this game in the first place. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. First thing I'm going to do is
multiplayer loop
Yeah.
kind of looks like, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to grab this, open her up, and grab this map. Actually, I need to make sure that I'm here. Yeah. Let's connect this sucker. Can you see that? Is that streaming, that little window?
No.
All right,
I don't
good.
think so. I only see Unreal.
I just want to make sure we don't like dox our repo.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's not. Okay, yeah. Set our IP. I'm doing some technical stuff that I'm not showing because I don't want to give you guys on the internet access to our stuff. Not that you could get it anyway, but providing like public IP information is not a good idea.
I don't know if you've ever seen those streams of it's generally like security engineers and stuff like that, but they'll like make a VM and kind of accidentally on purpose put the IP on stream and then just kind of like see what happens.
Watch who comes through and tries to.
Yeah. Or like potentially even just like openly challenge the chat to like try to attack my server and see if I can defend it. Pretty interesting.
That's definitely interesting. I can't remember how to connect this shit to source control. Do I need the SSL in the IP for Perforce?
Yeah, let me just pull mine up since I'm not sharing. Yeah, SSL : IP : port. Yep. There was an aside about Perforce in the
Hey,
Pal
there we go.
World dev little like documentary thing that I was watching. I guess it was something where I think they said their team tried to use it and couldn't figure it out, and they were just like, "We'll just use Git instead."
And then they
But then
resorted
I
to
guess there's
bucket
like
full of
the whole
USB
reason
drives.
because they had like built it in Unity and stuff, and there's like
Yeah.
the story I guess about how they brought in this crazy senior dev who knew Unreal really well and told them the only way I will come work for you is if you rebuild the project in Unreal and you stop using Git and you start using Perforce and all this stuff, and they believed in this guy enough to do it. It's really interesting.
Let's see. Duplicate this guy. I'm gonna call you. Did we have a map prefix in our nomenclature? I cannot remember right now.
It's M underscore.
Okay. And I'm gonna call this lobby blockout, I think. Then we'll take this thing and move it into a new folder.
POC, do all game devs use Unreal Engine to build all the big name games? No, not really. It is something that is used by a lot of AAA studios, but I would say it's probably not more than maybe 30 or 40% of AAA games that get made.
It's really hard
Yeah.
to tell. And the big reason why, like, okay, so in my experience working at AAA's, they usually have an in-house engine that they've spent a bunch of money on. Oh, hey, what's up, Photon Ready? Thanks for coming through. Yeah, so we're choosing to use Unreal because of experience that like I've had. Tony and I talked about this a bunch, like early days. He's like, what should I learn as I get into this? This is over 5 years ago at this point, and I was like, pick up Unreal. It's easy, just get in there. So yeah, that's why we're doing it. For
It
instance, when
wasn't
I was
even,
at
I don't even
Bungie,
think the conversation was around it being easy. I think it was like you're not
it's
you're
just
able to make like
it's just
a
better.
professional like real video game in Unreal long term, and you gain the skills to do that. And you can absolutely get that from Unity or Godot or any of these
Yeah.
other ones, but there is likely multiple AAA studios that you can just walk into that are using Unreal, and you will have the skill set that you need. And that applies to those other engines too. But I think in terms of big AAA, really good graphics and ray tracing and all of the stuff that people want these days, that's like out of the box with Unreal a lot of the time. So
yeah, if you're using even just using Unity, there's a lot of custom work that has to be done to make sure Unity is set up to build the type of project that you're setting out to build. Unreal just has all that shit to begin with. So it's super useful for us. That's why we went this way. Unreal's interface and how you manipulate the engine and do stuff in the engine is very similar to tools I used for 5 years at Bungie. Bungie does not use Unreal, but their tools that were in-house have a UX that's very similar to Unreal. So meaning like where the placement of things are, how you navigate and move stuff around in the world.
So in the industry too, you're seeing all of these companies that used to have in-house engines starting to transition to, we're just going to use Unreal now. Like I want to say Kojima has said that he's doing it. The Witcher and Cyberpunk studio that I can't remember the name of. CD Projekt is doing it. I think FromSoft has said that they're even going to start doing not, Souls games in it, but something else. It's just more and more becoming the thing that everybody is just going to, because otherwise you're looking at developing your own engine from scratch, basically.
Yeah. And developing your own engine from scratch is something you can do. That's often how a studio gets like a very specific look or a specific feel to their games. It's because they built an engine that presents the game in a very specific way.
Nothing looks like Death Stranding because that was an engine that they developed in-house specifically to build games at the Kojima studio.
Also, Photon Ready, if you wouldn't mind dropping a follow, that would be awesome. We're still trying to get to affiliate. We have all of our very like basic goals. It's going to take us a long time. We're not streamers, and our goal isn't to become streamers. So we only do 4 hours a week. We just do a short amount of time. So the grind to get to affiliate, thank you so much. The grind to get to affiliate is going to take us a little bit longer. But yeah, once we're there, we'll be able to have subscriptions and bits and all that stuff, and you guys can contribute to the channel in any way. So
we need to get somebody set up to, like, get excited on the stream when we get a follow. I don't think we have that set up yet.
Oh, I thought we had the Streamlabs thing going. Or Coffee? Didn't you integrate Coffee?
Will alert us when we get a dono, but I don't think it does anything else currently. So yeah, but I'll start looking into something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Josh is just using Streamlabs.
Mm-hmm. It's something really I can hook right into, but I've never set it up. Maybe for another one of our like 3D studio things, it's lasers or something like that.
Yeah. All right, Unreal. Where did that window go? There it is. Okay, so I did that in a really weird way. Moving that, I duplicated the map in that folder and then moved it. That can make things strange sometimes with Unreal and revision control. It's fine. The other way is to like do this.
The only thing you need to just be wary of is just right-click on your content folder often and hit Fix Up Redirectors, and then that solves the problem that you're referencing. Because to your point, it will just like keep referencing it in the old location after you move it, and it creates some weird redirector under the hood that doesn't always work right, especially with version control, like you were saying. So, yeah.
So we've got our map here, MGO, that's chilling in the main like content folder. I wanted to duplicate this out so that I could start doing block out for design things. So I made this maps folder. Really what you would probably want to do to avoid any of that redirector weirdness is you copy this so that it stays in your clipboard, create your maps folder, then dump it into that. So what I did was I copied it. It stayed in that one folder, and Unreal does a bunch of references in the background. That's what Tony's talking about. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did have to clean it up.
But that reference will exist on Vince's computer, and then he'll check the files into our version control system. And then when I pull them down on my computer, I basically am just getting the file without the references, but it is expecting the references to be there, and then things don't work. And it's kind of an unexplainable error that we've run into a lot in the past that we've kind of learned to work around.
Yeah, the cleaning up redirectors actually has like 4 deleted files in my change list in P4,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
yeah, and I'm gonna have to check it in with those deleted files too, I think.
Yes. Yeah, because it's just cleaning up all that stuff that it would be expecting otherwise.
Cool. So basically what we're looking at here, this is our prototype for the GeoGuessr. This is strictly to make sure all the different components work. So we've got this globe here. By the way, if you want to dynamically change your navigation speed in Unreal when you're moving around a viewport, while you're holding down right click and using WASD to pilot, just scroll the mouse wheel and that changes how quickly. It's like now I'm going really slow. I'm going much faster. So that's what I was doing. Anyway, that being said, this globe is what our players are going to manipulate. And this globe is going to be sitting in the middle of a table. Imagine like Dr. Strangelove, everyone's sort of sitting around. You're on like this council. Around you in the sky is your Google Street View in VR. This doesn't come across super well, obviously, in Engine because you're not in a VR headset. It looks very different when you are. But so think like, let's do this. So I'm just going to move this kind of like into the middle of it so we can pretend here. So this might be kind of what you see as a player, is like sitting here on the side of the globe. A widget, there it is. And then imagine I'm like, it's not smooth right now. I have snaps on, but imagine I'm like rotating the globe. You can do that. I don't want to put on my headset and go through all this stuff to do it.
So I did start setting up a first-person controller for debugging purposes, but it doesn't let you really do anything aside from just like I was using it to primarily make sure I could get 2 players in the game and that their stuff would link up. So, but long term, my goal will be to just make it so that you don't have to put the headset on necessarily to debug or test.
Yeah, for sure. So one plugin that we really like that I'm gonna use here is the Blockout Tools plugin. What's really nice about it is it just has all these things that are really, really good for level design. So say I need to make a box like this, right? Well, I would just do that. And now I've got this box with a bunch of really nice parameters. One of which is like this box size handle, which is pretty cool. Is it works in chunks along, following the materials that are on here so that you actually have a measurement grid, which is super useful. Anyway, what I'm building, I don't actually want a box. I need a cylinder or cone. Cone might be good, actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a cone. You know what? Let's just do one of each. We'll do this guy. And we'll do this guy. Where is my blackout tool handle?
Cone might not have the handle. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
So what I need is here in the radius, we'll do 50. So that's how I would change it otherwise. I can turn up the quality and that'll probably make it more than a hexagon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at 0. We go up to 1. I don't know if it's whole number values or exactly how this works. It doesn't matter as much, especially if you're doing blackout. Like you're not trying to make things look perfect. It's more of an approximation of what you're going for in the look of your game or your level. So I'm actually going to chop this in half some more because it's a little thicker than I want it to be.
Yeah, and the benefit that he's getting from these blockout tools too is that if you were to just grab a normal cube or something like that from the default engine things that you get when you start a project in Unreal, they don't have these parameters that he's changing to cause them to scale and resize and add sides and all sorts of stuff like that. He basically will have a scale ability that is just going to like multiply or divide the dimensions of the shape. But if there was a material on there, the material would start being warped and would not follow the shape of the object anymore. The blockout tools comes with a nice material that always kind of keeps that grid lined up with it the way that you want it to. And you ultimately do have the ability to just kind of spit these out as raw 3D objects that you can then just kind of put into your game. And they will lose all of those like nice parameters and stuff like that. But by doing that, you also make them into more static objects within the code, and that will make them more performant.
Yeah, everything Tony said is true. That's the reason why you go with something like this blockout tools is it's just they've already solved a bunch of problems for you. And if you are starting off on your own and don't have any of these things built yet, just buying some simple stuff like this off the marketplace is gonna save you tons of time.
Well, and actually, your floor here, you'll notice has like a grid pattern on it, and that is not a blockout tools object. That is from the engine, and that's a new thing in UE5 where they have kind of created their own version of blockout tools, but it really doesn't have a lot of the nice quality of life things that the plugin does. But and because we've had the plugin, I've basically never really spent any time with the in-engine ones that they've created for us. But people have spoken very highly of them, and they're used in Lyra and all of those big projects that Epic has made.
Yeah, so something like that. All I'm trying to do is center the sky sphere. So we've got kind of this deal going on. And grab this cube. I don't really want this right here. I want to get this thing. Yeah, now we're going to move this and sort of center this guy around. And it'll start to make sense what I'm going for here. As I get this a little bit bigger. Actually, I don't think I want to use scale that way, do I? I guess that's fine, right? Can't remember, does scale get funky if you scale here and don't use the blockout tools?
You should use the blockout tools if you're scaling a blockout. Yeah, that's best to keep it at one scale always.
I guess radius is probably what I need here.
You're just trying to make it bigger.
Yeah, I'm going to go for like 200. That's probably okay.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So one of the things that I was doing was I was putting it into a top-down view because that helps me align everything sort of at that dimension. So now what I want to do is get here. So this is our sky sphere.
I think it's supposed to be a perfect sphere.
Yeah, I scaled it in 2 dimensions.
Cool.
So now I want to grab this thing and push this down a bit. Cool. That's looking good. That's pretty much okay. Let's grab this thing and we'll fix this to a lock scale on that so I don't ever do that again. We're going to save. Back out to perspective view. This is looking a little better. This is closer to what I was imagining in my head. I need to make the platform a little bit bigger, I think. Or no, actually smaller.
You're more than welcome to just delete those, like especially the far left black menu box, the multiplayer one. That doesn't need to be in there while you're blocking out if you don't want it to.
Ah, it's okay. I'm just chilling right now. So now I want to grab this thing and we'll put this kind of in the middle.
Because in my mind, those panels definitely will not be there in that form for very much longer. So you don't really need to work around them or anything.
Yeah, I'm just leaving them there. I don't care about them right now. Okay, so I got this somewhat centered. I'm gonna drop this kind of like that. think this is feeling right. So then I'm gonna kind of pretend I'm one of the table people. Yeah, this is still too big. I'm gonna drop this again by like 125. That's gonna be a little better. Yeah. Okay, now we're in here like this. I think I need to move these two guys down just a smidge. Let's see what that looks like in side view. So what I'm trying to balance here is where my head is as a player. So if I'm seated at this, do I still feel like I'm in here, or am I like too low? Those are kind of thoughts that are going through my head. What's my eye line going to look like looking across the table to another player? So one of the good things to do for
the
this
sphere is supposed to
probably
be like centered. Your head is supposed to be in the exact center point of the sphere at all times where the illusion breaks. And I can, if you make it big enough, then
yeah,
it would
I'm
be
trying
like
to place
outside of the
some
space, I
other
guess.
references, so it
Yeah.
that doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah. I guess like that's how I'll be setting it up ultimately, but I get what you're going for here. This looks good.
Where's the Manny mesh, or is the Manny thing
Should be
just
one
character?
in the content drawer potentially. Yeah, I don't think character is gonna. I'm not positive I have a Manny in this project, but I might. Because I have the hands, but I don't think I have the full mannequin now. So you can do add top left there. Oh, sorry, I was watching stream, so I'm delayed. But yeah, if
go
you hit
ahead.
the add button in the top left, you can do add feature content pack.
Like a third person, maybe?
Yeah, third person is the one that you will want. It's gonna put all sorts of stuff in there, which is fine, but the menu will be in there too.
Okay. I don't know that there's necessarily even like a way to fail QOC. Actually, how do you want me to pronounce your name? Do you want me to call you QOC NYC? Do you want me to call you I'm not going to say that out loud. Cock. Yeah, Cock NYC. Or Cock Nice.
Wow.
Your Highness.
Perfect.
Not Cock Nice. Okay, cool.
Oh my god, Vince Photon says I'm currently hiding in the bathroom in Tarkov while I watch. That's some dedication to the stream.
Yes, it is. That's amazing. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
What map are you running, Photon? We are big Tarkov boys, so.
I think this added, Tony.
There probably is just a folder that says third person in the content drawer.
Oh, yeah, there is. All right, cool.
Yep.
I added it twice, so that's dope.
And
so Unreal's
I want to
just
say there's like a character folder that has them in it.
yeah, the Unreal's just doing stuff right now, adding files, so that's why you guys aren't seeing anything. There are these windows that popped up. There we go. So we'll get rid of that. Is it just a third person character?
Sorry, are you just trying to put a Manny in for scale?
Yep.
Then I wouldn't do the whole character. I would just find the skeletal mesh for Manny, like SM Manny, I think is what it's called.
All right, should be putting that into my level. There it is. All right, so this dude's a little too big, I think.
He is 6'2" scale, I believe. if I remember correctly.
Well, he's not 6'6", jacked and fully tatted.
He could be definitely more jacked and more tatted. I'm starting to like this because it's really motivating me to go get tatted. So,
did Photon say which map he was on, or no?
I said stepped away. Photon, what map were you running on Tarkov? I was reading Christina's message that you sent. Hiding in reserve basement right now because I found a vertex and I'm scared shitless. Awesome.
Oh man, yo.
Reserve is so spicy.
Yeah, that just gave me anxiety. So this might be something for you, Your Grace, QOC. You should find out what the Twitch policy is on like prop firearms. Like, is this okay? I don't even know. Like, is this okay? This is not a gun. It's a pillow.
What are you saying?
Okay. So get back over to this. I moved this up towards the middle so that we've got a little bit better representation. So now I'm going to start pulling these things out because I don't need these. They're interfering with what I'm looking for. I accidentally clicked on the sky sphere. So let's scooch these guys on out. That's not what I wanted.
Okay, so Victor's messaging me and saying that he's putting messages in our chat and I don't see them.
He's probably putting them in YouTube.
No, they're in Twitch. He sent me a screenshot. They're like in the flow with the other messages, but I don't see them on my screen.
Is he banned?
I wouldn't think so.
What's his Twitch handle?
Colonel Bros.
Yeah, not a gun. Definitely not a gun. The reason I'm bringing that up, Christina, is because people have like that I've been on like calls with for work stuff, like in a conference or whatever. They're like, oh, I thought that was real, and I'm like, what part of you made like thought this was real? Because it's like covered in spikes and shit, and like very weird. Yeah, I don't see him in chat.
I see him in the community listed, and then when I look at his profile, it says 0 messages. Yeah, maybe it's because his account is super new.
Yeah, there's messages that don't show.
I was trying to see if we have like some setting on.
I think he doesn't know how to Twitch. Yeah, tell him, Christina. Tell him what it is. The best part is that he can't even like defend himself, so he can't even be like, "Fuck you guys." Oh my god, why have I done this? Yeah, and then we'll grab these two text.
Yeah, we don't even have like followers only or slow mode on. So there's like, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't be getting them. That's really weird.
Yeah, this sounds like a Victor problem, not an us problem.
Everyone replying has an icon next to their names. That is true. I'm gonna try to reload.
Tony, the capsule that says bad size on it is the player spawn point, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to drop this here so that we don't have any huge weirdness. So what I'm doing right now is I'm moving the player spawn point. You need to have that in your level. Otherwise, anytime you try to play something, it just won't work. So what I'm doing is making sure that as I build this stuff out, without interfering with what I'm trying to do, I've got reasonable, like I can hit play and it shouldn't be broken. Or simulate in my VR headset. Head mount on display. Why can't I select this fucking Manny? Bruh.
You're just probably selecting the sphere because of collisions.
Yeah, like pointer collisions. This shit drives me crazy. All right, now I have to go find this guy in here. Wait, is he not in here? What the shit? I have an instanced foliage actor.
You can delete that. That's just in there by default, I think. But yeah, I don't see him.
I don't understand where this Manny is.
Look on the right side at the types for a skeletal mesh. Maybe it just has a weird name.
I definitely don't see a skeleton
Yeah,
mesh in
I
here.
really don't either. That's so strange. Maybe just save and reopen.
Yeah,
the
that's
level.
literally what I was gonna do. Yeah, so Unreal
Yeah.
does weird things, even though it's the best tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to we'll go to content because that's where this other clone map is, or the parent map of this clone. We'll go back to maps. Reload it. Yeah, look, that Manny's not even there. It was fake as shit.
He was a ghost the whole time.
All right, bro, get in here. He's in there now. Save this. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the same exercise again. Reopen my level, make sure that actually worked right. Okay, cool. So I haven't really gotten into a lot of the why I'm doing what I'm doing, which I think is kind of the point here. The whole goal is to talk about game design and like what game design is, how you make decisions, why you make decisions, why game design even exists. Why you make what are you saying skill issue about, Christina? Oh, Victor.
Probably a Victor, not a you.
No, I like that. That's great. We teach you skill issue and then you immediately use it. Hardest part about designing a game in general, I wouldn't say it's specific to any engine. So what you're trying to do in game design is establish what experience the player is going to have. Like, what's the vision? What is you'll hear terms like high level and abstract, and what that means is in the simplest way possible without details, how does this thing function? So an example of that is I would make a statement about an experience goal for GeoGuessr being, I can play this. I can play our GeoGuessr game, which we're calling Sacred Geography. I can play Sacred Geography with my friends on Quest, Index, or Apple Vision Pro, right? This is a high level goal. This is the thing that we're trying to make. So my experience is I can play Sacred Geography with my friends on any HMD platform that is out right now. Cool. The next one would be, as I'm playing with my friends, I can join a lobby, right? So those are the things that we're thinking about. What I'm doing here is more spatial design, and I'm thinking about how this will feel as a player. So manipulating my viewport, putting it in here. What I want to do is to be able to see across the table, to look at the other people in this game with me. We can exchange, banter. We can talk about who's doing what, guess about where we're pointing on the globe, all those things. and it's important to be able to see across the table. I feel like a social component to this game is pretty important. If you look at popular YouTubers or streamers who've been playing this game on stream, it's all multiplayer that is sort of driving this like fun experience. Anyway, keeping that in mind, I go, we need something to kind of ground the player or the players in this world. And what I mean by grounding is if we take these things and we go here. Actually, this is the wrong setting. This is to turn them off in there. I want to do that. Okay, so now they're invisible. This looks kind of funky. It's here. Let's pretend we don't see. Click this one too. Oh no, that's the anchor for the actual sky sphere itself. Okay. So when you're in here, if you imagine that you're wearing a VR headset and this is what you see, it feels weird. It doesn't seem right. Something is off. So you need a 3D object in the world that's going to be like this anchor point for every player. And what I mean by that is this will help ground you in reality. So as like the sky sphere changes with every different destination that you're going through, it could be pretty jarring. You know, you might be in like a black void. We're not saying that it's going to be a black void. Those are problems for us to figure out. But how does that feel? You know, as we transition between two different things, what are the constants? So we're going to have this lit table, the sky sphere around you, this outer part of your viewport, that's going to be changing and dynamic because that's a part of how you play the game. So all that being said, we grab these guys, and these are going to be our constants that root us as a player in our brain into reality and say like, okay, here are the immutable things that don't change. I think the best examples I can give are like, for human beings, there are these routines that we go through every day. The sun rises, the sun sets, we wake up, we eat, we sleep. Without those things, it becomes a little bit harder to suspend your disbelief. What that means is I'm playing something that isn't real. If I think about it, I know this isn't real. I'm not enjoying it if I know it isn't real. If I just pretend it's real, I'm suspending my disbelief of the situation. That happens with animation, storytelling. It's this really central concept to getting someone bought into your idea. I think the important thing to remember is that like game design, narrative design, any of the stuff when you're on an endeavor to create something for entertainment purposes or art because art exists only for its own sake, the really important piece is to remember that you are trying to trick someone or get them to buy into your idea and be like, I'm with you. I'm pretending none of these other things are real, and I'm just going to follow you on your story in this crazy thing that you're trying to tell me. I'm a little bit rambly and I'm out in left field with these ideas, but as long as you have a little bit of real in your crazy world of fake, it really helps people just connect to the fake and just be on the ride and have a good time. So that being said, I need to make sure that my players can see each other across the table. We can have some good social interactions, talk some shit, you know, just like is happening in chat with Victor here. We could talk shit to Victor about how he plays Sacred Geography, right, across the table. That's gold. That's a really good experience. Help me. Let's grab this guy here. So Manny is going to be our pretend player. And what I'm really going for here is just kind of like a sense of scale. I feel like the table's slightly too big right now. It's kind of sticking out too much. I need to be closer to the earth. And to my competitors here, my buddy Manny that I'm playing with. I think I want Manny to be slightly at like waist height at the table. And my conceit here is that, you know, as I stand, I'm kind of here at the edge of my desk, right? Like this is where I'm trying to see across this. What's important is as I get here, well, now I can't really see my buddy Manny here as we're talking shit to each other about this game. So that means I probably need to raise him up or make this thinner, which I kind of want to do right now. A lot of this is kind of like instinct. There are scientific principles you can apply to this. You need to study psychology and architecture and spatial design and yeah, many ways to do this. I just played a ton of video games. I've been playing video games since I was a little kid. I really love this kind of stuff, and I just think about it in a way that makes sense to me. Now I'm going to go ahead and manipulate this again. Actually, I think, yeah. Okay, so I don't want to scale up the Earth because I'm going to fuck up my textures, and it'll make it look weirder. So what I'm going to do instead is scale down my table. And that's going to make the table feel smaller and the Earth feel bigger. So now we're going to go here to, let's go to like 100. See how that does. I think that's feeling a little bit better. Okay, so now this is a little smaller. The Earth is bigger. I think we need to be slightly above halfway in the middle. So this is like in the middle of the table. The reason I want to be slightly above is because I get a little more globe that I can see as I'm like here at the edge of the table. So now I've got my Manny there. Grab these things. These need to be at this height because we're kind of in the middle. So I need to pull Manny up a bit. Okay, so this is starting to feel right. And what this is going to help us do is know where the floor needs to go. So now I can grab this thing and sort of orient it to Manny's feet. And that'll probably give us some pretty good, or just a good idea of how this is going to look and feel to our players. So what you're going to see here, the first thing you'll notice is that now this floor is clipping into the sky sphere. That's going to make the sky sphere feel a little weird. So to fix this, as we're in here, we've got our floor. This isn't necessarily a bad thing as I'm looking at it. I kind of like the way this feels because now I've got one more element that roots me in a space that's semi-permanent. And I think that's just going to help a lot. So yeah, I'm actually really liking this. So this is a part of design is you're just going to get to a point where feel and instinct it gets fuzzy and hand wavy and sort of nonsensical. It's just a part of the process. Game design is a newer discipline. It hasn't been around nearly as long as some of the others in the industry. Yeah, not an exact science. There's plenty of books. Actually, let's do that right now. I'm going to recommend some books. It will start with academia. And what I mean by that is discussing the philosophy around why decisions get made and how game design works from that perspective. I prefer a more practical application of things, and I'm usually going to speak in terms of work that I've done that I feel strongly about and how I reach those conclusions and how I got there. Anyway, if you want to think about stuff and like kind of put your brain in that space, this book is really good. This is sort of the game designer's textbook. It's called The Art of Game Design. It's by Jesse Schell. It's a super famous book. This was a part of like my curriculum when I was in school. Geez, almost
Shell
like
Games guy.
15 years. Yeah, it's Jesse Schell.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah,
cool.
he wrote this book. He's got a studio. It's called Shell Games. Now,
Make a
for
lot of VR
practical,
games these days.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
My wife loves the Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Is that it? No.
I
Expect You to Die. That's it. There's two that they're kind of similar. Anyway, practical application of the discipline of being a game designer. How do you be a game designer? How would you do this job in a studio, working with other people of other disciplines? This book was a godsend for me. Inside of this book, you've got very clear examples of like a 10-page design document. And our author here goes through this and shows you. He's like, this is a fake game, but here's how I would do this pitch in this design document. This is outlining everything. It's the important thing to keep in mind is that your audience for this type of stuff is your coworkers. It's the other people working on the project with you. So you want enough detail that they know what to build according to the design, why they're building that, but not so much detail that it becomes frustrating to read. There's a really tricky balance with how you write design documentation. In my experience, just as a game designer over the last 10 years, I've written tons and tons of documents that people will maybe read once or not even look at. So that's kind of the fine, that's a subtlety. That's a skill you develop over time as a game designer. How much information do you put in there? Always being aware of your audience, meaning like, is this an internal document? Am I giving this to a creative director? Am I giving this to an engineering team? Am I giving this to artists? Many different kinds of design documents. They're all used in different ways. So anyway, that's Level Up by Scott Rogers. He did Maximo and some other games. Personally, I didn't get this book because I was a fan of his games. I would say that I'm not necessarily. But this dude is the one who wrote the best "Here's How You Be a Game Designer in the Industry" book. So this book is full of that. It's very, very, very helpful. Helped me get my start in the industry. Another one, since we're talking about sort of the abstract parts of game design and spatial design. A lot of what I did in my career is level design and encounter design. So I think about how players move through spaces and how do I get them to feel shocked or, you know, a sense of excitement, or like there's this grand expanse in front of them and they feel small, things like that. Those are the emotions you're trying to elicit in your audience. This one's pretty good. This is on theme park design. I've done a little bit of this myself for Disney Imagineering. I did a prototype for an attraction. I can't say anything more than that, unfortunately. Some parts of that got used in some things, and that's really cool. That was very early in my career. But this book is really neat because it talks about how to think about all that. Another good one is The Design of Everyday Things, which I have over my bookshelf here. I have a huge bookshelf. You should read more books if you... Yeah, that's just good advice. Reading more books is good for everybody. I'm going to look at chat real quick and see what y'all are doing as I was rambling. Oh, here we go. We got Victor in here now. Colonel Bros.
Haptic feedback in VR, like just vibrating controllers and stuff like that. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, Victor, that's a good question because like this Quest 2 controller absolutely has haptic feedback in it. The Quest 3 controller does as well. The Index does. The Apple Vision Pro uses hand tracking and eye tracking only. So you don't have haptic feedback.
Yep.
That makes some things weird. My wife was playing Fruit Ninja, you know, the Fruit Ninja port that they did to AVP this weekend. And she was saying that it was really strange because as she's swiping her hands to like chop fruits, she doesn't feel anything. So you're like, oh, cool. I'm like waving my arms around. She said the same thing about synth riders because you're just kind of doing this with your hands in space.
Yep.
It feels strange. You don't really like...
A lot of
you
people
don't know
who
if
like
you're doing
synth
it right.
riders on traditional VR said that because normally when you get it in the right place, you get a little buzz on the controller for every note. It's like buzz, 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 and that's
Exactly.
a good feedback that you're doing it right. And they said they really missed that while they were playing it on the AVP version with their hands. They just had no way of really telling if they're in the right spot or not. And I've seen just endless calls for Apple to tie it into the Apple Watch just to give you like something on your body that can give you some amount of haptic feedback when you're doing stuff. And I bet you they'll probably do that pretty quick.
So I, you know, skipping around again, I really like how this blockout is coming together. This is looking really good to me. I think we get a good sense for how our players are going to be here. I don't enjoy, and I'm just going to be candid about this. I don't enjoy that this mannequin's crotch height is above the table. And the reason I don't like that is because it has nothing to do with the game. You don't want people's crotches to be like a part of it. So I think what we probably do is we end up cutting the legs off of our players and we just do like a floating torso, hands and head.
Basically what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's good because it doesn't really impact our line of sight. So if you imagine here, let's do this. I just duplicated. What I did was I grabbed the floor and duplicated it so that I just got another one. And I can use that to sort of like chop his body in half. And that will help us kind of understand the thing I'm talking about. So we pull this up. That doesn't look so bad, right? This thing's way too thick though. So I need to make sure that this...
Help you just cut his legs off real quick if you want.
Oh yeah, I guess I could, right?
Yeah.
So we could get in here.
Let's go to that skeletal mesh, and I would just duplicate it so that you have the OG still.
Damn it. His legs are a part of his shoulders and his head mesh. Torso and forearms are a different mesh too.
Okay, yeah.
I don't care about that. Yeah. This is gonna end up being too much work, so it's fine. Anyway.
Yep.
We get a good idea here. A lot of what I do in my design process is I have a lot of stuff in my head. So as I'm looking at this, I'm sort of like squinting. I'm trying to think of some metaphors to describe like the mental process. I see what I have here in my viewport, but there's a different image I have in my head. It's almost like drawing a picture or, illustrating something. I'm trying to get what I have in my head into this viewport. The reason is so that I can explain to my other teammates, like Tony, here's why we're doing this. And then I can have this whole conversation that I had with you guys in chat as I explain this design process. Then we say, we want this table here, because now I feel like I'm close enough to it, I can reach it. I'm not like running into the table or having these problems. It creates a little bit of a gap. There's some distance between me and this thing in the middle. So I'll back up. If you think about what this experience might be like without a table, people are going to mill around and run into each other. If we give them the suggestion that they might have a seat at a table, they're going to go just stand in that spot. And that means that they're going to self-organize in a way that is really good. So what we're doing here is we're actually manipulating the players psychologically to go do something that will make their experience better. Game design is a very weird thing. So I didn't even explain any of that about the table, and I realized it's because it's all in my head. It's all stuff that I've been thinking about. So the table exists to create distance between players and the thing that they're going to interact with. It also gives them a space to just naturally slot into, and that will prevent them from doing this. If I'm standing here and Tony's like right next to me, like, and Victor's over here like by himself and we're like smashing into each other, all of that contributes to pulling me out of the experience and not playing the game. I'm like, oh, those characters look dumb. Hey, why is this happening? Why are we all standing inside of each other? You want to get rid of all that shit. Have players only think about what they're there to do, and that is to guess where they are in the globe based on this big wraparound 3D photo, right? So those are the things we need to stay focused on. Remove everything that gets in the way of that, and then amplify everything that makes that feel better and fun. All right, so I'm going to take a look at chat real quick. Hey, what's up, Sparkle? Oh, Victor, if you could give us a follow, that would actually help a ton. There's nothing wrong with standing inside of each other, but it will actually harm the player's experience. They're not there to stand inside of each other. There's other apps for that.
There's other apps for that.
There really are. Like, you can go play VR chat. That's like what VR chat's all about. So thinking about it, what I mean to say is I'm not trying to stop players from standing up and walking around and interacting with each other. I'm trying to give them so many other reasons to not do that they're going to play the game instead of trying to find something else that is fun, which isn't the game. That's the job of game design.
Okay, I figured out 5-second way to cut the legs off if you want to do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So you just open up the skeletal mesh.
Shit, I need to change my screen capture here. Can you transition me real quick?
Yeah.
Throw me to like just chatting head or something
on your main window too if you want to.
Oh, will that?
Yeah.
Here, let's see if that will.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
That worked?
Yep. Okay, so then find the thigh bones on the outliner on the right side. And then just pick thigh left or right. And then go to details in that next section down. And then change the scale to 0.
Hey,
and then do the same thing on the other leg.
Cool. I did not copy that before I did it. So
that's all right. It's not really destructive.
You
can just go undo that
dead!
if you ever need to.
Yeah. All right. That didn't update this Manny. Do I need to like drop him in again?
Probably. Yeah.
Let's try this.
It would be the same thing. Did you save it?
I did. Yeah. Let's oh, maybe I need to compile it again. Let's just double check that. Yeah, it didn't seem to like what I just did. So we're gonna redo. Okay. Do it again. And we'll click the button this time just to see if it likes that better than Control S. Well, clicking the button is doing significantly more things than hitting Control S was.
What you wanted done.
Yep. So there are quirks. Despite the fact that we were saying this is the best game engine, it still is. I've made shipped projects in Unity, and every time I did, the experience developing those projects was wildly different. Anytime I've done stuff with, Unreal or Unreal similar things, it feels very, very much the same. In, working on Destiny in the Destiny tools felt like working on Unreal. So I digress. Come back here. Does this guy still have fucking legs, bro? Oh my god. It does not care, Tony.
You're opening that from the outliner. Let's see. Why would that be happening?
Let's do this one. Oh, bro.
Is there 2?
No, there's just, I added all this and it's not in source control. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh yeah, so it doesn't put it into source control automatically unless you tell it to, because I think it just assumes maybe you might not want all of that. But you can right click on the content folder and hit mark for add, and it will just do everything in the project. I probably
do you want to do that?
Well, I have a bunch of stuff checked out, so maybe.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just. I'm just chilling right now. Do you want me to delete anything out of here, or just mark the skeletal mesh for add?
Yeah, just anything you're actually using, mark for add for now. And then, or just did it come in like a third-person folder?
There were a lot of folders that got added to the third-person thing, but the skeletal mesh for Manny is just in meshes.
Okay, yeah, then I would just start by adding that. If it breaks stuff, we'll figure it out. We got Jones11 in YouTube chat saying, "What is this game called?" It is going to be called Sacred Geography, and it is basically VR GeoGuessr.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Jones. Yeah, that's so we've got a working title. As we get closer to shipping this thing and putting it out there, the name will probably change, but we like Sacred Geography, so we might just ship that. Who knows? All right, I got my manis added. Let's see. Let's get back to chopping this dude's legs off.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not changing. So you're in Skeletal Mesh Manny. Are you sure this is the one that's in your content folder. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but because you're double clicking on him right there, right?
I just right click edited.
Okay, yeah, that should be. I was just
It's the
making
same
sure we
thing,
didn't have
yeah.
like two and we're changing the wrong one or something. But
Nah, it looks like the same thing.
yep. So just do it again, and then trying to see.
Yeah, hey YouTube chat, anybody over there, thank you for coming through. Sorry, we're still getting used to trying to respond to both kinds of chat, so let me pull up a YouTube here real quick just to make sure that I've got you guys and I can see what you're saying. We're working on trying to get our chats all integrated. There's a couple platforms for that. But yeah, there's a couple ways for us to solve that.
After you get the scale zeroed out again, you could try to hit the make static mesh button at the top of the screen too, since we're not interested in really animating this guy anyway. And maybe that would lock that scale in when you do that.
Say that again. Sorry, I was making sure I could read
Yeah,
YouTube chat.
So
Scale
scale your thighs down like you were doing, and then at the top in the middle of the screen it says make static mesh. Try that and see if maybe that locks it in.
Imagine being able to scale my thighs in real life. All right, you're saying scale them and then do what?
And then hit make static mesh. Top center.
We'll go. Where was it? Do we not have a meshes folder now? What the shit, bro? Right, I'm gonna go look at source control to see where this was. Characters maybe?
Yeah, if we have a characters folder,
No,
that's where I would put
we
it.
do.
So yeah, just put it in there.
There's a meshes folder. So here, this is what I wanted to look at.
That's fine. Yeah, either one.
It's under mannequins. That is in characters. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the same folder, and I'm just gonna say like SKM no legs Manny or something like that.
SKM Lieutenant Dan, dude.
Aesthetic mesh, characters, mannequins, meshes, SKM no leg. Yeah, seems fine. All right, is it in there? Hey, it's in there. We did it. And then we're going to go here. We're going to add that to the thing. So now I'm going to do this. There's my no leg man.
There you go.
And I'm going to rotate this sucker. Actually, here, let's see if I can remember how to do this. We'll do this. And I think it's under edit. No. There's a way you can just, there it is. Replace selected with, boom, there we go. So we did it. So what I did there was I don't know if you guys saw the drop downs. I don't think you did because it doesn't stream.
Yeah.
So what I did was I right clicked on my asset. This drop down comes through. There's a drop down in there under asset options in the top set of drop downs that says replace selected actors with, because I just made the no leg Manny. It showed in my recently placed things, and I just selected that and it dropped in all the translate coordinates for me, replaced the 3D mesh. Now I got my no leg guy, and now we're looking solid. Okay, so I'm gonna pull YouTube over here to this other monitor so that I can actually see you guys. Hey, you're good, IG Peer. So what I'm doing right now, we're talking about just the process of game design. So I'm building a mock-up for how we feel like the space should exist in our VR game. The VR game we're making is a VR GeoGuessr we're calling Sacred Geography. So what I'm doing here Actually, you know what? This will be a really good way to show you where we started and how we got to this point. So I'm going to open up our other level here. We started with this level. This is our prototype. This image here is Google Street View piped into a 3D sky sphere. So this is all engineering magic that my business partner, Tony, has done. He's also in chat. Say hello, Tony.
Hello.
So he's done all the engineering work to get this stood up for our prototype. And he needs me to help figure out how this is played and what the user experience is like. So we started with this prototype sphere. We have this globe. There are several interactions with the globe that can occur in VR. You can move it. You can point at it with a laser and select a destination. We've got our coordinates that, here, let me see if I can just hit play on this sucker. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. So it kind of looks like this. It doesn't actually look like this, but this gives you a good idea. So we've got this section will be populated with actual I can't remember what that's called. Geographical coordinates, I guess. The latitude and longitude of a place on the globe. Then when you pick, you'll aim and click. And then that will pop up your selection here. And then it tells you how far away you were from your target, just like GeoGuessr works in the web app, like the way it normally you would play it. So what I did was I want to establish a good set of reference points for our players so that they understand where they are in the space. And I talked about it earlier, IG Peer. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. But what I'm trying to do is give the player some touch points to keep them rooted in the game that they're playing. So we've got a table, we've got a globe in the middle, and we've got a mannequin that is, these are all just references for how this will kind of feel. So what I did was I copied out our prototype map, created a new maps folder. Actually, can you even see this right now? You can. Yeah, you can't see it. And then started adjusting it in here. And the point I got to was we need to see kind of where the floor is. Actually, really, I like this floor now. I think this floor is good. I'll probably want to put different material on this so that it looks more interesting. So let's go ahead and do that. Do we have anything interesting in here, Tony? In like the default materials, do you know?
What kind of material are you looking for?
I don't know, just something that's like cool. It could be metal or
There's
glass or
metal
something.
there. I think, I don't know if there's a glass, but there is a metal that comes with the default. And other than that, you can achieve some okay stuff if you turn the grid off on the blockout tools and use just like the luminance and roughness and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess since that's their blockout tool, you can't totally do that.
Yeah.
You can also get textures from Quixel. If you just like open up Quixel Bridge, you can grab some from there that you like.
Gotcha. I hope I answered that question, IGPer. I don't even know how long ago you typed that. Oh, here we go. That's kind of fun. So I just used a water material.
That's crazy.
I feel like this just helps our brains understand a little bit more of what I'm trying to accomplish here. This is better than a grid. I know what I mean and what I'm trying to accomplish, but I need to convey that information to the rest of my team and other people I'm working with. So changing this is actually a good step. Change the material on here. So I'm going to mess around with a couple of these. I used the Unreal projectile material, which was that yellow. Mm-hmm. So it's like a tennis ball kind of.
Yep.
I did that at first. Metal railing. No, I don't want to do that. Let's go with metal. Let's see what metal looks like. Brushed metal. All right. I've got this
There
like
is basic
reflective
asset
metal
02,
material.
which looks like a less reflective, like brushed metal.
Ooh, I could look at metallic car paint. I actually kind of like the pool, but we're probably better off just going to the projectile. Let's see what this is. Some completely screwed up UV, whatever.
Yeah. So there is one called translucent and one called translucent frosted glass.
Ooh, I like that. So we'll go with frosted. Let's see what that looks like. So you're gonna give this a minute and I'll update the materials.
Oh, since it's a VR project, translucence might not work right.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks busted.
I think the rendering isn't set up for it.
Back to pool. I like that. It was fun and gets the point across. Cool. Actually, you know what? I disagree. I don't think this gets the point across. We're gonna go with projectile because it was a different color and it looked better. This one's just flat gray. We're gonna go back to the yellow one. Yeah, so we'll do this one. Cool. I think that looks better. So now we've got a very clear contrast between what the floor is and what the table is and where our Manny is. We're looking pretty solid here. So I think this mock-up is very clearly conveying the point I wanted to make. Just to really hammer the point home, let's do this a couple times and we'll pull these guys out and just kind of place them around the table. And what this is really going to do is this is going to help inform like Tony's decision-making process for how he's engineering some of these things, or you know, like what he's building to add to this game. So then I'm going to grab this guy. We will move him kind of this way. Stick him like over here. And I want a little bit of variance in like distance near the table. So we'll have this guy be really close. And we'll have this guy be, let's get some different heights in here too. Other way? Yeah. Okay, so let's have him get close and low. Have this guy close and high, and we'll have this guy far away and lower down. Okay, cool. That's giving us a much better idea of like what this would look like with different people in different spots. I think what I want is to actually lower this guy over here, kind of. I don't like them being at that like staggered height that was going on there. Oh, egg peer. Okay, cool, awesome. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you chatting. Yeah, so the mech-like person, what this guy is this is called a Manny or a mannequin, and it's just an asset that comes with Unreal. So when you're building a video game, you need like, what does a character model look like, right? And you just comes with these tools to help you start building your gameplay first, because that's the most important part when you're starting out. You don't want to start out with lots of like really good looking art. You don't need to either. So just kind of having a point of reference is a really important thing for making a video game or making any kind of software, really. Scooch this guy over here a little. So what I did was, these guys don't actually do anything. They're just placeholders to give us a good point of reference for this is how big a player is going to be in this space. So it's a spatial reference for us. So this is going to be a multiplayer game. So what we're going for here is, this is what the experience would look like if I were a player in this game, and these are some other players that are playing with me. really hate that they have different heights like that. So scooch this guy down.
You can copy and paste their location transforms and stuff if you ever need to make them match.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want them to all be different. Sweet. I think that's kind of all I've got for this. Let's see. I talked about some books. I'm getting blown up over here with some other messages. All right, sweet. Really appreciate you guys coming through on YouTube. We're also live on Twitch. We multicast, or multi-stream. We do multicast is a networking term. It's weird. But yeah, we stream every Wednesday and every Thursday, 10 a.m. to noon Mountain Time on Wednesdays, and we talk about game dev process, share with you guys what we're doing. That's what this is. Working an engine today, showing a little bit of spatial design and whatnot. Tomorrow we play games with each other and with the community, with you guys, and we do that from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. again Mountain Time. Yeah. So let's see. I got this thing done. Let's go ahead and check this in because this is useful stuff. I've got a Gigantor change list, Tony. Do you want me to check all of these things in?
Is it just all that third person stuff?
Yeah.
That should be fine. I can clean it up later. It's just easier.
Right, I'm just
so we don't have issues.
Yeah. I'm just running a reconcile offline just to make sure. So one of the other things that we're doing right now is we're sharing these files with each other. We don't work in the same place. We're physically in different locations. We actually don't even stream in the same place. Oh, hey, what's up, Burnout? Yeah, so what I'm doing is taking the files and these changes that I made to our software using Unreal right now, and I'm pushing them out to the cloud. You know, it's a secure method. This is normal. It's a source control for software development. And then Tony can later pull those files down, and our projects are going to stay in the same, level of fidelity. All the changes match, and we're working on the same project at the same time.
And it will also lock files that Vince is working on so that I don't change them at the same time, and we run into conflicting changes.
So Burnout, it's actually called Perforce, and Perforce is the industry standard source control for video games. Almost every studio I've been at uses Perforce. Kind of. Autodesk Vault is a different thing.
If you've ever used Git or heard of Git,
yeah,
or like GitHub, Perforce is kind of like that. Is definitely very different, but kind of achieves the same purpose at the end of the day.
Yeah, Git is better for code and sharing code,
yep.
And Perforce is really good at sharing art, like 3D models and audio and animations
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no offline changes, so let's see. Added. What I'm doing right now for you guys is and I don't want to share all this stuff because this is kind of like proprietary, sensitive information for us, but I'm using this software, and I've got how many different files? I don't know, a bunch of files, probably like 30 files, because I added this third-person controller thing to our project. So I'm now noting what this big chunk of changes is, because I'm pushing this into the project so that all the other team members who are using our code repo can pull my changes down, and we all have the same project. So I'm saying added third person project template, copied mgeo as m lobby lockout, and I'm just reading this out loud because you guys cannot see this. And then what was the last thing I did? I mocked in multiplayer table globe floor and Manny references for multiplayer
So
session.
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, since we made the static mesh out of the Manny, do we actually need anything else out of that content pack?
I don't think so, but I'm worried about breaking any references and whatnot. So I think it's up to you. I mean, you're the tech guy. So if you want me to remove anything or omit it from the
everything
CL,
except for that static mesh, and don't check it in, and then I'll see if the project will run for me, and then assuming it will, you should be able to just like delete all that stuff and be done with it.
okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create two separate change lists. So I have the big one that has all the things that I just put all those notes in. I'm going to duplicate that, make a separate one, put just the one file in there, check the one file in, take the rest of these, put it in what is called a shelf. So it creates like almost a separate branch off of your main. So if this is your main project, it creates this little side branch, and we can go grab this version or this chunk of files that are different and work on those if we want separately from the main project. This is a really weird abstraction, but version control is really, really useful. Igpir, I'm actually not an engineer. I'm a game designer. Tony is an engineer.
And I've always been a full stack engineer, so definitely a good mixture of both front and back end. And as I've moved out of other types of development and into game design, it's kind of remained the same. We tend to try to stay away from persistent online dedicated server type stuff for the most part, just because there's a lot of, you know, just annoyances and costs and stuff associated with those that we would like to avoid if possible. But a lot of the types of work that ends up happening, especially once you start talking about multiplayer, really starts to resemble more traditional back-end development.
Okay, so now I need to go find No Legs Manny. Maybe No Legs Manny did not get added to the project. SKM No Leg. No, he's in there. There he is. Okay, cool. So we'll move this. Crap. I need to copy this, change this description. All right, so we'll copy that. Where's No Legs? There he is. All right. Move to another change list. Cool. New. Oh yeah, Tony, I have to do a bunch of other stuff too. Yeah, this is gonna be a pain as I'm thinking about it, because I copied the map, made a new map. I added a bunch of assets into that new map.
Just push it all up. I'll clean it up. It's not a big deal.
Actually, you know what? I can probably just grab the map too. That's the only other thing, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, but I needed the cleanup references as well.
You would almost potentially just want to go into Unreal, delete all of the files that we don't care about here. That should sync them into your change list in Perforce automatically. Fix up your redirectors, then push your change list.
The problem is I'm not sure exactly what got added. Like I can go through like, because we've got a whole bunch of third person stuff that got added.
I think you should just push it up. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. That'll just be easier for me than trying to like figure out what I got going in here. Yeah, I'll move that back to CL260. I'm going to delete 261. All right, so Tony is doing me a big favor because I'm not as technical and helping me sort out this big mess later because I added a bunch of shit that we don't need. But our goal is right now to create a backup of our project that lives in the cloud, which we just did. So that submission just went through. I didn't get to show you guys that stuff, but that's this down here. We've got this revision control tab, and that helps us, you know, connect our project to our source control. Yeah. So Eggpeer, it is. It's thinking about like what the experience is. Yeah. So I'm like, we're making this multiplayer, you know, GeoGuessr game in VR, and the way players do it is by like pointing at a thing with their VR controller and shooting a laser. You know, the thing that they're pointing at is the globe, right? Like all of that is design type of work. Typically on a project, there are specific roles that are designer roles, but in my experience, everyone ends up doing a little bit of design work, even if it's not their job. And oftentimes people will be really passionate about their ideas and designs and like excited about the game. So they will bring those to the designer. It is a designer's job to make those decisions. And that will typically go like all the way up to the creative director. And the creative director is the person who's carrying the vision for the game. On our team, being really small, I'm both designer and creative director. So I like report to myself. And Tony's the engineer and he's doing all of that. So he's got to do like version control and like project architecture in addition to like literally go write some code and build this thing. So we're wearing a lot of hats, as they say, because, you know, that's how it goes in a startup. Also in our chat, we have QOC NYC. She's our social media marketing manager. So she's doing all that stuff. If y'all want to holler at her and say hello, she's in our Twitch chat. But yeah, it's relatively complicated, Eggpeer. I think the other thing, if you want to go back and watch this, we'll have this published on our YouTube channel. So you can watch the beginning where I talked about some of the books and why I use these books. I'll show them again real quick. So for academic stuff, we've got The Art of Game Design by Jesse Schell. This is a very, very famous book for game design. This is my favorite book for practical application, how to actually be a game designer, what you might do in your day-to-day life. Level Up by Scott Rogers. This one's another really good, like, philosophical type of a book. This is about attraction design, and what I mean with that phrase is like a theme park, like Disney. So like a theme park attraction. What kind of ride would you go on? How do you set up a theme park? Like the things you would consider are where do guests enter the park? If you've ever played Roller Coaster Tycoon, it kind of makes sense. How guests get into the park, how they flow through the park, how they go to different popular attractions and rides, all that stuff. The reason why it's not just called a ride is because it doesn't necessarily need to be a thing you ride, but it's like an experience. I'm trying to think of some really good examples. Okay, Haunted Mansion. There is a ride, but the beginning of Haunted Mansion at Disney is an attraction. You're in there, you're talking with live actors and doing this thing. So anyway, those were three really good design books. And then if you're looking for like creative vision type stuff, this book is amazing. Very, very, very good. It's a collection of essays that Kojima wrote. He reads a lot of books. And he wrote like editorial reviews on books or like book jacket blurbs and stuff like that, which is really weird because Kojima is a creative director for Kojima Studios and he made Metal Gear Solid and all this other stuff. It's just, I find it really inspiring. Another one is Rick Rubin's book, reading that too. That's great. Yeah. So let's see, where are we? We got this project, we got this thing in there, made some really good spatial references for stuff. Let's see. Christina had some questions. I hope I got to those. Serial killer plans, yeah. Oh, hey, Burnout, please give us a follow too if you haven't already. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna teach, dude. I think we'll do stuff like this. Like any teaching content is gonna be on our live stream, in our YouTube shorts, stuff like that. Our goal is to have people. Let me think about how to describe this. The game industry is full of a lot of what's typically referred to as like tribal knowledge. So it's one person learned how to do a thing, they pass this information along, or they keep it to themselves for reasons of job security. If you're the only person who knows how to build a thing or do a thing, you're valuable. I think that is kind of stupid, and I don't like that. And I think all of humanity would benefit from, you know, I don't mean this in the same way, but like pseudo gatekeeping of how games are made. That's the whole point of this type of series. This is like what we're doing here at Fractal Grove, is we want to help empower everybody. Like that's the whole point of the business. We are making games, but that's not the only thing we're doing. We're trying to make games, you know, AAA quality games with a much smaller team, not to save costs for the sake of saving money, but because we think we can make really good games with a smaller team and a smaller budget. You don't need to have 1,000 people working on a game as a service. That is just a really gross business model to me. It's not sustainable. There was some study published at the beginning of the year that said like over 65% of games, or I don't know what the percentage was. The majority of games at AAA studios are games as a service in development right now, and that's really stupid. I think that, yeah. We want to make games that aren't necessarily driven by data and business decisions, but the process of giving something to someone for entertainment. I feel like a lot of that is missing from games now, especially at the higher end. It's being run like a business. How do you make the most money? Well, you make a premium game, you add microtransactions, and you make it a game as a service because your players will come back over and over, and you will get a lot more money out of it. You make a big spend to launch the product and put it in the market at the very beginning, hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got 500 to 1,000 people. Then you taper off the work on that product, put it on a lifeline of like the smallest level of effort possible so that your operational costs are really low, and then you quote unquote print money. I mean, that's what the World of Warcraft model was, the EverQuest model. Like Blizzard didn't even invent it. Sony did with EverQuest. So like, and I mean, sorry, I should back up even more if we want to talk more about that. The original MMO was Ultima Online. So this shit is not new. People have been chasing this in the industry forever, and it's really depressing to me that the biggest influences in the industry, the people spending the most money, are spending it on games as a service, which is just so overdone. Everything with a battle pass, with microtransactions, you spend $60 to buy the damn thing in the first place. It sucks. I want to make games that I can just put out there into the market, say, here's my game, $60, please buy it, thank you. And then we'll go make some other shit. And the way we prove that we can do that is by building all these really cool tools, using cutting edge technology, shortening the path. In what I mean by this, I'm using kind of like buzzwords. Shortening the path is acceptance of like, how do you accomplish more with less effort? So this blockout tool is a great example. I talked about this at the beginning of the stream. We've got this, cylinder with a grid on it. I can scale it. It's got materials on it. All of the setup is done for a bunch of these primitives. And if I go over here to my blockout tool itself, I have all of these really, really cool things. This is basically everything you need to build a level in any video game. So we will eventually be publishing our tools like this. Tony's been backlogging a lot of the technology that he's been creating on our projects. Another one of our projects that we're building that we call Weird Candy is VR physics simulation with these really crazy things happening. It's all in space. So imagine like Jupiter and Saturn colliding and falling into the sun, but you're controlling all this. So you're like throwing Jupiter and like eating up the inner planets, like watching Earth get sucked into it. It's all happening in VR. These things are bigger than your house. That's another project we're working on. And in order to build that, Tony had to write a bunch of physics stuff. So publishing those things on the Unreal Marketplace is one of the things that we're also doing. So these series here on how we're building our games and what we're building will eventually be made available to you guys to go build your own things with. And that's a part of our process and what we're aiming at with this business. I got some more messages from Eggpeer. I'm going to read that real quick and catch up to you. Oh, okay. Tony, you might have some advice on this. So Tony is our, tech director. He's the engineering guy. Eggpeer asks, I'm actually looking for some books, but more about making code clearly and understandable. I'm becoming an engineer. I'm born to solve problems. Design seems like it's born to make problems. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. Design is about setting constraints for your problems.
Some good insight
so that
for sure.
I'm talking right now, but Tony, if you have any like books or anything that you could recommend to Eggpeer to
There's a very famous and divisive book called Clean Code. That's by this guy named Uncle Bob. That's what he calls himself. He has always been somebody who has been like an authority on the topic for probably too long at this point. And I actually see a lot of the modern development community kind of not really being a huge fan of his. But I did read Clean Code earlier on in my development career, and I think that it caused me to just start thinking about what I was doing in some better ways and kind of planning ahead and thinking about all of the possible things that could go poorly if I made a decision one way or another. And that, those are the things that happen early on in your development career that really help you level up. So that is one book that I would potentially recommend to some extent. I honestly don't really read a ton of development books. I don't personally find them too helpful. I really just build a lot of stuff, and that has always kind of been my philosophy, is just keep building stuff. You will constantly be presented with new problems that you haven't run into before that you'll have to learn how to figure out and solve, and that's going to help you learn new stuff, and experience is the best teacher.
I strongly agree with that. I think that's really good advice. It can be really frustrating. I know that I get crippled by this, in that when I'm starting on something and I don't know how to do it, I get really frustrated and I stop. So that's another part of like what we're trying to do with this business with Fractal Grove, is be there for you guys, answer your questions. That's the point of these dev streams on Wednesday mornings. When we get more people coming around and checking us out, Eggpeer, we're also on Twitch, by the way. We stream on both at the same time. We're twitch.tv/fractalgrove. Here, actually, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can post that into our YouTube chat. We'll find out. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I just posted. That's me. I'm Vincent. Doxing myself. My whole name is in there, but whatever. Yeah.
My YouTube chat.
I just posted in the YouTube chat.
Maybe mine's behind. Yeah.
Yeah, hit refresh and see if you see me pop up in there. YouTube chat seems to be slower than Twitch chat. It doesn't really like come through as well, unless you're Victor and you think you have a Twitch account. You don't. Let's see. We've got about a little less than 15 minutes left of the stream. Do you want to show anything else? Do you have anything you want to show, Tony, that you've been working on? I know you've been working on some pretty cool stuff lately with like video compositing and things like that.
I don't really have anything to show right this minute now. It's all not pulled up, but
yeah, no worries, dude.
Yeah, that might be a good one for another stream. I did
let's
potentially
see.
set up Twitch follower alert, so if we get a new follow, something might happen. We'll see.
Oh, sick. If anyone is watching and has not yet followed us, would you please click follow? It will help us test out our follower alerts.
It'll be bottom right corner if it does happen. So.
Okay. I'm looking for it. Let's see. Who we got in here? All the usuals. Okay. We don't really have anything else in there. All right, that's good. So the other thing that we're working on, aside from the GeoGuessr, is Weird Candy. I don't know if there's anything interesting I can talk about with Weird Candy. So Weird Candy is at a place. I'll just talk about where the status of the project is. We've got a working prototype. We've played around with some things. We don't have scoring and stuff in, so it's almost at the same, I would say probably about at the same stage as Sacred Geography. What we need to do is add the game systems around that. We have a level flow mocked in for the prototype as well, so that's already working. Yeah. And what I've been working on for that is like a pitch and how to convince people to help us build this thing by giving us money, and then we can hire a team and do all that and pay people. So that's kind of where we are with that part of it. Ideally, we can get to a point where I don't need to go ask people for loans and, you know, to help us run our business. We can continue to build games and stuff through doing the stream, you know, donations from you guys, stuff like that. Just having people come around and getting ad revenue from doing our marketing through streaming services and stuff like that. I think it's sustainable. I think we can do it, but we're gonna have to figure it out and see how we get there. The other thing is from, you know, sharing our tutorial content and our plugins and all that stuff on the Unreal Marketplace. So we've got a couple different ways to get some money and make sure that we can build our teams out. I'm trying to think of other things here. I'm going to pull up my topics of conversation list. See if I can grab anything in here. Let's go to this section. Tool we use for this is called Notion. It's really, really good. It helps us track stuff. We put plans in here. I write up design documents. I put those in there, publish those for the rest of the team to look at. Yeah, and then let's go to... So I guess I will talk about this because the irony here is that this is social media. We are streaming on social media. I hate social media, and I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. A part of what I discussed today was how software, especially entertainment software, is designed to manipulate you to get you to feel some kind of way. You have an emotional reaction. That sounds really negative, but if you think about it, if I'm, as a designer, manipulating you to feel sad or really happy, I need you to care about these characters, otherwise my story is not as interesting. So a part of how I tell that story is in that manipulation. Now, the reason I don't like social media is because it's doing the same thing. It is manipulating you to get you to engage with it. There's another good book that I read called Irresistible by Adam Alter, and it just describes psychological processes behind how human beings create behavioral patterns. It's I don't actually know how controversial it is, but it's potentially controversial in the realm of psychology because the author's making some assertions about chemical dependency and how human behaviors are created. Suffice it to say, there is a somewhat direct line that you can draw between chemical dependency with some, drug addiction to very damaging and dangerous substances like illegal drugs, and using a Fitbit. Like the way the human brain goes, I need to do more of this illicit drug that is harming me and destroying my life. Some of those mechanisms are actually being leveraged in tools like Fitbit. And it's not totally clear whether that's intentional or understood, but it is not regulated. And that is really bad. That's why you've got, a part of the discourse around kids and social media, or like specifically young girls and Instagram, and how it's extremely damaging to their mental health. It's because it's not designed to preserve their mental health. It's designed to make them engage with Instagram. It's meant to have them on it all the time because that's how the platform makes money. This entire concept extends into even like Gmail. Gmail is built in a way, especially if you have a Google phone with Gmail on it, to push alerts to your phone to get you to engage with the phone, to look at ads. That's the whole point of it. Going all the way back to game design, you can do this in a benevolent way where you're having someone connect to a story that makes them, think about something in a deep way. A good example is like the plot for The Last of Us, the first one, right? Or even the second one. There are lessons in there. There's morality. There's, if you enjoy the game and you're playing it, you have this deep emotional experience and connection to the characters. None of that is accomplished. Like, none of those characters are real. That's not real shit. It's all fake. Convincing you as a player or an audience member to come along the ride is the trick of design and story crafting and all that. So I try to advocate for using these tools responsibly and delivering positive experiences that help people, instead of really just delivering a product that provides no benefit for the user but makes me money. I think a great example of that is Twitter. There's no benefit to humans using Twitter for the humans who use Twitter. The gains are monetary. They're based on social interaction and attention and engagement with other humans. None of it's real. And it's very detrimental because it hooks into a lot of the same, psychological processes that we have as humans that we exhibit when we interact with people in the real world. So because there's that cognitive dissonance and a disconnect, you create these really unhealthy habits without the full human social interaction feedback loop. You only do the one part that either gives you the chemical reward or doesn't. And it's rapid firing that dopamine dump into your brain every time you get a new like or a new, follow, or if someone quote retweets you and it starts going viral. It feels crazy. That's on purpose. They want it to feel crazy because otherwise that product has no value. The reality is the product doesn't have value and it's tricking you into feeling as though it does. So if we go back and talk about fitness apps and fitness trackers, without getting too deeply into it, even though I probably can, but I'm sort of talking out of my ass because I'm not a clinical psychologist. I have not studied this shit. I'm not a behavioral scientist. I'm a game designer, and we leverage some of these principles to get people to have fun playing games. The assertion about like Fitbit being negative, the reason why this thing works is because it has goals and it always sets a new goal and it's gamified. If you've ever heard that phrase, what it means is conditioning a person into a pattern of behavior to engage with a product or a service. So now if you apply that to thinking about Fitbit, it becomes somewhat sinister. You realize that this isn't for you to get healthier. It is an endless stream of unachievable goals or achievable goals, but every time you do one, you're not finished. There's another goal that will always pop up. So if you run for 30 days, the next one is like run for 3 months straight. If you run for 3 months straight, the next one is run for 6 months straight. If you do 6 months, the next one is run for a year straight. It goes on forever by design. There are teams of thousands of people building these products to deliver them to you. And they are thinking about this in a way that most people don't. So anyway, I'm a bit on a rant, but I just think it's important as consumers to consider when you're being manipulated or why they're manipulating you. And then choose to engage, like spend money on the product if you genuinely find value in it. I don't think it's worth spending your money on stuff just because everyone else is, or because it might be cool to a friend of yours. Like, you should always consider how you spend your money on, especially like elective products, like all this software that we engage with. And be careful with even free things like TikTok and Facebook, right? And Twitter. All these social media stuff is dangerous. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the end of my rant. Where are we at? How's chat? I feel like I've killed chat with this conversation.
Yeah, nothing in chat.
Oh, I totally murdered chat. Sorry, chat. We've got like 3 to 5 minutes left to stream, and then we'll call it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else right now. Let's see. Who's still out there in chat? Y'all hanging out in chat? I don't think anyone is.
I'm gonna test.
Refresh my mod view.
I'm gonna test the alert here.
Oh, sick. Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna get logged back in.
Tomorrow we are going to be playing Helldivers. So if anyone is out in chat and you want to play Helldivers with us, holler at us when we're streaming.
Okay, send test alert. Here we go. But it does.
Test alert. Oh, I saw a twirly thing. Yeah, we just don't have sound. I like it.
I didn't put sound on it because I didn't know what to do, but we can add sound. Yeah. I know it should have sound, but maybe I didn't. I probably didn't enable it in OBS. So, yeah. But we'll just have to talk about that. So,
I mean, we can just test it right now. Like, we literally have a couple minutes to kill. We hit our 2 hours, so we're ready. Eggpeer, we are getting close to finishing our stream up. If anyone's out in YouTube, anyone's out in Twitch chat, and you guys are just lurking, we stream every Wednesday, every Thursday. On Wednesdays, we stream from 10 a.m. to noon Mountain Time. And on Thursdays, we stream from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. These are minimum amounts of time. Those are our targets that we're trying to hit. We are not streamers. We are, we're software developers. We make video games. And we're out here trying to build a community to help people make games better, make them faster, make them without spending as much money or having to go like figure out where to even start. More people making more games is healthier for this industry. Especially if all of us can like take a swing at the AAAs and shake it up. It's really good. AAA culture is extremely unhealthy, unsustainable, facing a future of spending, $500 million on a new IP and taking 10 years. That's insane. You need to be able to make a game. Even 3 years is almost too long of a development cycle. And the reason is because games are often cultural touch points. And as you're making a piece of art, if you miss your target or your boat, you know, like culture changes so quickly. In 5 years, people are going to talk differently. They're going to think differently. They're going to act differently. They'll have different interests. That's why you'll see a game that takes 5 years to develop, but isn't built agnostic of the zeitgeist. It doesn't do well. If it's like, this is a game that uses memes from 2010 and it comes out in 2015, it's gonna miss in a lot of ways. You'll see that happen with television and movies. You'll get like an advertisement that has a meme that's like too late. You know, the meme's already dead, but it's a new ad. I feel like there were a couple of those during the Super Bowl. Not that I can recall any, but I'm like, ooh, well, that sucks. They missed the boat there. Like, no one says that anymore. Thanks, Eggpeer. Thanks for coming through. Really appreciate you showing up. Hope to see you on the next stream.
I'm gonna test this again. Looks like I had sound.
Hey, yeah, that worked.
Sweet.
Cool. I like it. Nice. That's great, dude. Yeah, I think send it. We just we keep that for a while.
Wider.
That's fantastic, dude. I really like that. You have it hooked up to follows right now?
Yeah, so Twitch has a whole alert system built into it I didn't know about that I found. But so yeah, you only have it on follows right now, but I can do it for subs, gifted subs, cheering, raids, charity, hype trains,
Sick.
channel points, goals. You can connect it to crowd control, stream elements, Streamlabs, Throne, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think right now we just need coffee donations and follows, because we don't have anything else that we can like monetize or whatever to cheer people on. Cool. Hell yeah. Well, I think we wrapped up there. It's been a great stream. Really enjoyed seeing some new people in chat and coming through. Y'all are great. Hope to see you guys come through next time.
I'm gonna test this one more time real quick. Wider. Oh no, it looks weird. Okay, yeah, I'll have to mess around with that.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. You want to say goodbye and
Alrighty.
the old stream arena?
Goodbye, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.
Later, y'all. See you tomorrow for some hill divers.